Hey, it's Ted Cantu. We're doing a show today on time travel. I'm in day 57, and I want to explain some of the miraculous stuff that's going on with me, so you'll understand that when you reprogram your subconscious mind, you cut out all the clutter, all the junk, all the negative programming that you've accumulated your whole life. And when you clean this stuff out, amazing things start to happen. And I just got to tell you, it's been an incredibly wild ride. So we're sitting inside the TARDIS today from Doctor Who, the time machine on the famous Doctor Who show on the BBC. You guys familiar? If you're familiar with the show, it goes back to 1963. It's been around a long time. But today, I just thought it'd be kind of fun to have it, change the setup a little bit and share this with you. So anyway, welcome today, 1957, or is it day 57? I'll leave that to you to decide. You can actually flip back in time. We'll be talking about that, to cut out negative experiences, to repave the road, and to welcome and usher in new experiences when you work with the universal light in the quantum field. And that's what we're talking about today. And it's mind, body, and spirit. So, and if you've never been to the show before, I want to welcome you to the Miracle Mindshift. I am Ted Cantu. I'm an ex-art director in Chicago and New York. I've worked in advertising for many years. And now I'm kind of following the path of Robert Collier. Some of you guys know who he is. And Joseph Murphy. But Collier was an advertising guy who kind of turned his back on it and went a whole different direction. I'm taking a page of notes from his catalog of experience and doing my own thing. Wow. Grab a notebook because you're going to want to listen to some of this stuff. We're talking about negative experiences on this show. And I want to share with you about a period of my time in my life when I was able to take a big chapter, maybe multiple chapters of super negative experiences, crush them all the way down, and step out of it and change my life real quick. And it happened in the 80s. I've been kind of obsessed with it now that I'm studying so much. And how did I do it? How did I get out of this situation? Wait till you hear what happened to me. And this is not one of those things where I want you to say, well, when you're a success coach or whatever, there's always this tendency to tell your sob story. That's not what I'm doing. I'm going to be mindful of your time. I don't want to step out of, line too much, but I do have a lot to say. I only have a half a page of notes, but trust me, they're pretty intense. So let me just get started. All right. So 1980, 80, 84. No, yeah, 84. 84 and 85 were intense years. I was in Virginia. My mother remarried, and she moved us down to a place called Milksville, Virginia. A lot of hateful people down there. I got multiple ethnicities in my character. I'm Native American, Mexican, depending who you listen to, part French and part Italian. You don't do well when you go down south. So they don't like us down there. And but you know what? I got into some really bad scrapes and I almost got killed actually down there. But we'll go into some of this stuff a little later. I want to really keep this focused for right now. So you get the picture. I'm in a racially charged environment where we're not accepted. People don't like us, and me more than my mother, because my mother passes off for Caucasian really well, and you have to really look hard to see if she has any kind of that ethnicities at all in her. But myself, I stick out like a sore thumb, and it was kind of like this, like, you look Greek. We don't like Greeks down here. Well, I'm not Greek. I'm actually part Italian. We don't like Italians either. Oh, well, I'm not that much of me, but I'm mostly Native American. Oh, we don't like them either. Well, You're just in luck because I'm part Mexican too. And, no, we definitely don't like them either. So my gosh, what else is left, right? Anyway, that was my high school years condensed in 30 seconds for your enjoyment and humor. I can laugh about it now, but at the time it was terrible. Who says that? Morrissey from the Smiths. I can laugh about it now, but at the time it was terrible. Uh, I'm not sure what song that is. We should do a whole segment on Morrissey and the Smiths. They were like the most negative people in music. And I grew up with them. Wow. Uh, so we'll talk about this real quick. Go down the list here. Um, Interesting time. I was 18 and I started visualizing what my life was going to be like. I knew it was pretty bad. I knew I didn't want to stay in Virginia. I was going to get out one way or the other. And I had a lot of plans to get out. I was going to go to college. Not that I knew anything about it. My grades were horrible because I couldn't study at home. I had a I had a stepfather who was very reckless. He's the only guy I've ever known my whole life that used to buy cases of vodka. You like a case of beer? No, case of vodka from the liquor store, and he'd go through it like in about a month, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I remember the bottles of vodka. They came in a white box, like 12 bottles, case, maybe more from what I remember. But there was multiple boxes, and it's amazing he didn't kill himself, because I know I couldn't do it, but that's intense. So he was very belligerent. He collected guns. He changed his personality, kind of like Jack Nicholson in The Shining. And we're out in the middle of the country, and God knows anything could have happened because he started getting progressively more violent and hateful, and I didn't feel safe around him at all. But I was stuck there, so keep that in mind. And I luckily for me, I had some friends that were they had a very wild sense of humor, so I used to run around with them, and they more or less saved my mental sanity. So this kind of stuff's happening. This is home. We had a big ranch house. Uh, my mother lived on top of the house on like the main floor. I had the basement, and there was a pinball machine down there. There was a pool table, and there was a bar. And then there was a family room with a fireplace, and then my room was in the back. Okay, so I spent a lot of time in there and had headphones, and I was the escapist teenager. I spent all my time in there. But I tell you what, it's really, really crazy. But I used to have these fantasies of going to college, what it would be like. Now, when I was 18, this is really kind of spooky, but I can talk about it. I had a, I was able to buy my first Playboy magazine. Wow, right? And I remember buying it, and inside was this centerfold. There was this girl, and she was blonde and blue eyes and really pretty. And it was weird because when I got out of the situation, I met a girl just like that. Kind of funny, huh? How that happens? She was like part of my subconscious mind, and I kind of like dreamt her up. And when she showed up with her friends out of nowhere. I didn't even know she was looking at me and checking me out. Didn't even know. I'll get into her a little bit later. That's interesting. That happened in Ann Arbor. So, Ann Arbor, Michigan. So let me tell you this crazy trajectory of what happened here. So that was like, a major thing. Um, my ah, a lot of stuff in here. Okay, so I didn't know how I was going to get out of high school. I'm lucky I didn't flunk out. My grades were that bad. But a couple of things saved me. I had a really good way of writing. Creative writing was really my talent was coming through, and it saved me in a couple of classes, and it probably brought my grade point up. But I squeaked by. I mean, I barely squeaked by. So I got out of graduation, and a couple of things happened along the way, which is really interesting. I had a gym teacher who hated my guts because I was multi-ethnic, and also I had flat feet. And he stuck me with a group of guys that were like good old boys. I'll let your imagination roll with that. And they wanted to kill me. These guys were probably about 22, 23 years old. They were still in high school, and they were still in gym class, which it's unreal, but it's a public school, and this kind of stuff would happen. It happened in Connecticut too when I was there. So anyway, I think his intention was for me to get beat up to a pulp, and I begged to be put into another class. And finally, he would not, and I had to play with these guys. I had to play basketball with these guys that looked like they belonged to ZZ Top. And what happened was my feet were so flat that I couldn't keep up with these guys, and he ended up kicking me out. And if you want to hear the whole story, I I did a whole thing about cause and effect on another episode, and you can check that out. But I was playing volleyball one-on-one with a guy who had a lazy eye, my good friend Brett, and he was a military brat. No one liked him either, so they stuck us in the corner. We played volleyball with each other. I hit a wild swing on a serve, and it hit my gym teacher right in the head, knocked him to his knees. Wow. How's that for universal cause and effect, right? He exerted hatred towards me, and then he got hit by a cosmic bolt in the form of a volleyball and knocked him right to his knees. Funny thing about that, he meant to harm me. But listen to what happened. He put me in a gymnasium all to myself with a hobby horse and a trampoline and said, go play with yourself. And my friend Brett got sent to another school because his parents moved after Christmas. I never saw him again. And so I go over there and I'm jumping on this hobby horse over and over again. I might land on my feet and I get a running start, jump on the trampoline, flip over, and it landed on my legs. Well, the thing was, I built up my legs really strong. I had really strong legs that year. The next year, I was able to join the track team, and I was a long distance runner, and I did pole vaulting. Now, what's interesting about that is I had a very horrible home life, but thanks to this gym teacher who meant to do harm to me, he accidentally put me in the right place to get on the track team, which meant I was not home as much. I didn't have to deal with my stepfather at all, and in fact, I rarely saw him. I made a lot of friends on that track team, and my friend Victor actually got me a job at a pizza place where he worked. So on the weekends, I was over there, and I was making money, and I was saving it up, and I was able to get out of the house. I was never home. Wow, the universe is looking out for me. Boom, boom, boom. Now, why do I say time travel? What am I talking about with time travel? Imagine this. Imagine if I had to deal with all these horrible people, right? That meant harm for me, and they did, but I was not around them because the universe cut them out of my life, and I was able to skip right to the goal where I wanted to go, and that was moving out the door. By the end of my senior year, my mother realized that she didn't want to be married to my stepfather anymore, and they got a divorce. Pretty cool. My family wanted me to move back to Michigan, where I was from originally, and I was able to do that. I graduated barely, pretty terrible. I was a C student, probably a C minus student, and you would be too if you had to deal with what I had to deal with. My stepfather got progressively more violent and actually threatened me with a gun. I had to leave the house, go sleep out in the field, and I think that was a breaking point that we knew we didn't want to live with them. So wow, so right to the end, man, I got that chance to leave, and I took it. And the day right after graduation, we left. I didn't know how I was going to get into college. I didn't know how I was going to do anything really. And I left all my friends behind, and a lot of them actually from high school. I never saw them again. That was it. I talked to them a little bit, after I moved, but that was it. I lost everything. Uh, so crazy. So I'm gonna keep going because a lot of stuff happened. So now I get back home, and my aunt was very critical of me, and she said, "Well, you've been around a lot of different high schools, and you moved to different places and stuff. Did you ever have a girlfriend the whole time?" And I said, "No." And I said, "Well," I said, "Was there anyone you liked?" I said, "Yeah." There was, actually, and that was in Connecticut. I kind of I kind of fancied her. I thought she was interesting. So she said, "Did you ever end up with her?" I said, "No, I never went on a date with her or anything. We just lost contact with each other." And she thought that was funny. Oh, she laughed. Oh, she thought that was just like great. She used to have this cackle like a little witch. And she was just that thrilled her. So anyway, that was Leanne. I'll show you a picture of what she used to look like. That's her right there. She's got I think she's playing with an iguana or something. She's on the hood of a car, and she had a lot of life. She had a lot of energetic quality about her that I really thought was really unique, and I liked her, but I didn't get a chance to really get to know her. I asked her out one time. She showed up with a purple mohawk and freaked me out during school spirit day, like the plasmatics. I'm a former art, what do you call, altar boy, and I scared myself out of it, and I didn't really approach that idea again. We never really fully connected on this date idea, and I just let it go. But I never thought I would see her again, really. But I didn't close off the opportunity. She shows up much, much later, and I'll tell you about that. I ended up with her. she's my she's my girlfriend now. She's my fiance. I'm moving back to the East Coast. So it's kind of interesting, right? So this time travel thing really works. It was almost like there was no chapters in between. We just connected instantly. And there's a whole show about that on my Thanksgiving episode. If you want to see what happened, you can actually watch that one. It's pretty interesting. So college pops up. My grades are horrible. I had to go to community college for a whole year, get my GPA up a little bit, and show the guys at my university that I was serious. I went to Eastern Michigan University. I finally got in, and there was 3 stages of college. I'll just give them to you right now. But the new friends that I made, a lot of college rivalry back then, as you can imagine. And of course, my grades were horrible, and I'm trying to, make a go of it. And there were 3 stages. The first one was, "You'll never get in. You're not good enough." I've been hearing that my whole life, everywhere I move. "You're not good enough. You'll never get in." I did get in. And then it was, "Oh, you got in, but you'll never get out. You'll never finish. You'll never graduate." And I did. And I did. I got 3 majors: graphic design, telecommunications, and film. I got a BFA. And then it was, "Well, you think you're better than us." So let's recap this. It's you'll never get in, you'll never get out, and you're not good enough. Well, isn't that amazing? And wow, you know, but you know what she used to like, my aunt? Now I think about it, she loved Oprah, and these kind of shows are funny to me. There's that joke by Don Maera. He says, "You think you're better than us." On Oprah, there's a drug addict, right, who hasn't beat his wife in 5 days, and everyone applauds. "Oh, hey, yeah, that's wonderful. That's beautiful. You haven't beat up your wife in 5 days. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, God, that's such a beautiful story." And here's a guy who's trying to he's helping his sister with cancer. He's assisting her at home. He's her nursemaid. He's living in with her, and he's trying to help her, get well. Boo, boo! You think you're better than everybody? That's the way it was. That's the people that she looked up to. Me, who made it honestly, uh, It's like take out the trash. Nobody came to my graduation. Now I know a lot of people would in this generation, when they don't get their juice boxes and little treats, they cry. And these are adults. I don't know what they would do in my situation. They'd probably jump out a window or end up with the Daily Mail. We're talking about people that jump out of the windows in my other episodes, and the Daily Mail in the UK always covers it. Who knows? But I didn't feel sorry for myself. I just wanted out at that point. My university was dumping classes on me over and over and over. And I thought I was never going to get out. They just kept taking my syllabus and making it longer and longer and longer because, that's how they make money off this. And finally, I graduated. I got out. Now, interesting stuff. That whole progression of how I overcome adversity, there was a lot of faith that went into that application. My mother took me down to Fatima, which is in Portugal, which is where Our Lady of Fatima showed up. It was our Blessed Mother, the Mother of Christ, actually appeared to some children back in 1917 in the city of Oljustro, Portugal. My mother took me down there. I actually climbed the mountain where St. Michael appeared. Actually, you'll see I'm wearing my St. Michael medal, right? I've always been a big supporter and a big, advocate for St. Michael. And I made my profession of faith. And I wanted to tell him that I would dedicate my life to Christ. I do believe that's what got me through this horrible experience. St. Michael was supposedly sighted at that spot on that mountain. I actually climbed that mountain and saw the spot. There's a statue there to this day of where this really took place. Now, this is amazing. And I might just do a whole show on that because it was such a beautiful experience. I snuck back to the mountain at night to see it under the stars. And I could have gotten shot by some guards on the ground. You're not supposed to be up there, but I made it through. But I wanted to see it under the moonlight. Whole different rabbit hole. I'm not going to go down there right now. I'm going to stay on track. So here we go. Just stepping over all these people that are negative, that meant harm for you. And I got through it. Oh, that Playboy magazine thing. I actually met this girl in Ann Arbor. But funny enough, she wasn't really a girlfriend of mine. I treated her like a kid sister, and she was just someone to go to the movies with. Really, that's what it turned out to. Because when I was a kid, I moved around so much. I was just like, I wasn't much of a romancer. I didn't have a car. I didn't go to my prom, and that's a part of my life that was really kind of underdeveloped. To be honest with you, and I was just happy to have her around. And she probably had other ideas. We never really connected beyond the friendship stage. So maybe, trust me, I'm sure she's got very frustrated. We used to fight all the time. And then eventually she just went away. But it's funny to me that she came from a picture in a magazine, and it was going back to college issue, which is really funny. And I thought, well, when I go to college, I'm going to get a girl like that. I'm going to dress up like this. I'm going to go to a university building like that. It was like a wish catalog. It was really bizarre. But things of this nature kind of falls into like a dream board category. And people have dream boards now. They put their pictures up, and in fact, I have one right here of some places that made sense to me. These are we see it? Okay, there we go. Kind of popping in and out. There we go. These are places in Connecticut and Chicago that I've actually manifested. Well, there we go. We got a green screen thing going on here, folks. That's what's going on. Oh, there we go. So, yeah, dream boards. You know all about that. Anyway, a lot of those things came true for me. I ended up working in Chicago later and working in the Sears Tower and living in Chicago, which is a really cool experience. Kind of skipping ahead a little bit. I lived right downtown. I didn't live in Lombard. I didn't live in Dundee or Lisle. I actually lived in Chicago. I lived on Broadway, in Belmont, right downtown Chicago. I was a block from Lake Michigan. What a rush, man. I could walk to the ball games whenever I wanted to. I lived right around the corner from Reckless Records. Cool stuff. I didn't have to have a car. I could just, travel and do whatever I wanted. And anyway, this is cool stuff. So let me just go down the list here. Um, oh, so I left out a really interesting chapter. I'll just tell you. So my stepdad had a gun fetish or something, and he was a really dangerous guy. So he had this. He was not kind to us. So now you got to wonder about cause and effect. But what about him? Because my gym teacher didn't want me around. He wanted me to have a really ugly demise, and it didn't happen. I ended up getting on the track team and skating off into the sunset. I had no revenge for him though, outside of that ball thing. That was pretty funny. Straight out of Mad Magazine. And what happened to my stepfather? Pretty much the same thing. And you got to hear this. So he was pretty mean to us. He was always just cantankerous. That's a word for you. And he was awful. uh, did anything that ever bad ever happen to him? You bet. He did some crazy, crazy stuff. Cosmically, it backfired on him, having these negative energies. You remember we were talking about the four crowns, serving at the highest level, being your highest self, serving at communion. That means like, offering yourself to your family and sharing good times with them, making the time for them, right? And really dealing with empathy and love instead of working with hatred, anger, revenge, and all this stuff. That was his level. My level is higher, and I knew the universe was going to get me out of that situation. But let me tell you what happened to him, because this is all he did was drink, cuss, yell, make threats. He's a real. How can you say this without me being really vile? He's a low quality person. Okay, that's basically what it was. But the first thing I remember, and let me tell you this too. This is kind of a weird thing. He was in Mensa, right? The group of highly gifted intellectuals. Only so many get into Mensa because you got a high IQ. You'd never know this guy had a high IQ. You'd never know. And I don't think he even liked upstairs much, the upper world. And he really thought he was above all that. We had to live with this guy, complete lunacy. So what I remember from that time was he was doing some work for his company. They sent him out to the Middle East, and they used to have this thing called rock bread, and it was on the street. You could buy street food, and there was a big slab of rock, and they would heat it up somehow underneath these fire pits, and they throw the dough on it, like bread dough, and you can walk off and buy this thing called rock bread. All right, so he's over there. He's walking down the street. He's munching on his rock bread. Whatever. And there was a pebble in there, and he bit down on it, and it split his tooth in half. One of his teeth. I don't know. I'm not sure which one it was. And wow, there's cosmic forces going wrong right there. And this is to be continued because he did it not only once, twice. Actually, did it twice. Imagine that. Mensa, smartest man in the world, smartest IQ organization in the world, gets it wrong again. And this time he took a Snickers bar and he put it in the freezer. Yeah, Snickers. And it came out, rock hard. And he bit into a peanut and it just destroyed his tooth. And I think they had to pull it out. What was left of his tooth was mangled and they had to pull it out. That's cosmic forces, man. That's the universe talking back to you. Cause and effect. Cause and effect. Think about it now. I just thought about this. With all the threats and stuff he made with his mouth, isn't it funny? That's where he got attacked in the mouth. Cause and effect. Yeah, probably. Now this is another memory I have of him. He went home to his hometown, and him and his brother mouthed off to some people. This is in Missouri. I want to say Seymour, Missouri. Doesn't matter. It's down south. A lot of hateful people down south. And he mouthed off to the wrong guys, him and his brother, and they got the crap kicked out of them. They got beat up. Came back home with a black eye. Yep, I remember that. And it gets worse. I was cutting the lawn one day, and he was yelling at me because there was a hole on the yard. We were living out in the country of Nokesville. We had like, wow, 8 acres of land or something, and there was one part by the pool. I had to use a lawnmower on there, and he was upset because I wasn't cutting over this hole. What's wrong? What's wrong with this? How come you're not doing your job? I said, there's bees coming out of there. Like these big, ugly wasps, like these big bees. And he says, give me that. He took the lawnmower. He went right over it, went right over it. The bees came out. They attacked him. And he ended up jumping in the pool. He got attacked, a whole swarm of bees. And they were stinging him all over the place. All right. That's keep that in mind. Around that same time, we got our driveway repaved. We lived out in the country, so we had these little stone driveways, these stones. So we got pavement. Now I remember I had to help him, and I had to help the guy that ran the cement truck, and I had to have like a squeegee broom thing, and I was like trying to make the driveway somewhat level. And I kept rinsing off my feet because I was getting cement on my feet, and I wrecked my shoes. And my stepfather yelled at me. I was wasting time, and time is money, and how worthless I was, and all this stuff. And you got to help me, and just berating me. And the guy in the cement truck was looking at me like, I feel sorry for you, kid, but you're doing the right thing. Yeah, you got to wash your feet off. You're getting that stuff. There's acid inside the cement. Anyway, it was a long day. That was a long day. And I kept rinsing my feet off, and my stepfather kept yelling and screaming at me. And it was hot, and I had cement in my eyebrows and my hair, and and on my face, and I'm trying to function. And we got through the day. My stepfather never washed his feet off once. And what happened to him was he ended up getting acid burns all over his ankles. I mean, really intense, like bright red, inflammation. And it was so bad he couldn't even really walk. I remember that. But the reason why I'm telling you this is that it got worse for him. Like when he got beat up by his hometown, the good old boys down there beat the hell out of him and his brother. He also got attacked by what's called chiggers, and chiggers are like these little bugs. I don't know if they're red or what, but they're annoying, and they ate his flesh on his ankles. This is something like right out of the Old Testament, man. And I didn't have to do a thing. I just sat back and let nature take its course. The universe kicked his ass, and it's amazing. So, and if I had to sit there and draw up a fantasy for revenge, I never would have came up with this stuff. This is original violence and revenge. It's amazing. So my mother finally got enough of him, and then she kicked him out of our lives, and that was it. He was gone. Hallelujah. And I was at the right age to be living on college campus, and I had the time of my life, man. I saw so many rock and roll concerts. Music changed right at that time. I saw REM when they first became a huge thing. Alternative radio happened right in front of me. I mean, literally, Liberty Street in Ann Arbor, and I want to say South University. No. State Street in South University. I'm sorry. State Street and Liberty Street connected right there. There was record stores on every corner. Literally, there really was. School Kids Records is right down the street. That was my favorite one. That was on Liberty. Right across the street was a Nectarine Ballroom. I used to go there all the time, and music changed right in front of me. I mean, it was like, wow. It was like everybody was there. Husker Du, right? Yeah. The Dead Milkmen, Black Flag, the Circle Jerks, Red Hot Chili Peppers, the Replacements, REM. I mean, the Pogues are right down the street at the Power Center. Nirvana showed up later, and wow, Fishbone, and just the coolest stuff, man. Right there. I was there. I was there for the whole thing. Saw the whole thing. The universe paid me back for all the bad times, and it's incredible. So, and keep in mind, this all happened in a very, very short time. Very short time. I would say probably by 1990, 91, I started looking at where I wanted to live and where I wanted to end up after college was gonna, come to an end. And but all that stuff, all that change, all of that opportunity, and all of those just miraculous timing for all those events happened for a reason. Why? I wonder. I struggled for years to forgive him, and recently I just did because he passed away about 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago. I had to get rid of it. I don't want to carry this energy around with me. But it's amazing to me that I wiped out all of this negative programming that was in there, memories from a very, very rough time in my life. But it was also filled with comedy and what can I say? Uh, Incredible experiences. I had my own art gallery when I was 22 years old. I had two of them. I met amazing people. I was actually selling my artwork and living off it and living like there's no tomorrow. Now, I got to tell you, I abused my powers because instead of like thinking I'm just like this lucky guy, I really didn't understand the rules. Happened as King Solomon too. You're gonna lose everything if you're not grounded in reality. Cause and effect is just one of the universal rules and laws of the universe. Now, I'll just leave you with this. Nobody gets away with anything in this world. Nobody. And maybe we're not always around to see when our enemies get theirs. I was fortunate enough to see mine come to pass right in front of me. I mean, right in front of me, man. I was lucky, fortunate. Now, do I wish that stuff on anybody? No. Even if I came up with some sort of an idea of what, like what that would look like for somebody in my stepfather's case, I could never have come up with that stuff. It was kind of like right out of the Old Testament. It was like the 10 plagues. That was a fantastic disaster. And I gotta say, it was remarkable. Oh, let me go back into our current day. Um, oh, let me tell you. You wonder why I wear this on the show a lot, this soaring eagle thing. Okay, so let me just tell you real quick. So we went to the race thing. I wasn't the right race or whatever. People just hated, for many reasons. They think I was too Greek looking. I was too this. I was too that. We don't like Native Americans. Blah blah blah. Well, anyway, it turns out I ended up finding, finding my own place in this world. Now, let me tell you about that. I used to hear this a lot. Why don't you go back to your own tribe? That's a horrible thing to say to somebody. It really is. But I did. I got accepted. I'm a Saginaw Chippewa. I have a tribe. My tribe had a casino. Yeah. Came home to Michigan, found out that I was actually somebody after all, like right out of a Charles Dickens story, like Oliver Twist. He had a home all along, but he just got lost. That happened to me. Right? And it's a beautiful palace. We got hotels and restaurants, Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. I have actually have two steakhouses, and I have one hotel I've never even been to yet. And that's on the other side of the state. My tribe owns that. We got a kids hotel with water parks and a golf course, outside concerts. Def Leppard showed up, Motley Crue showed up. All the shows that I missed out on when I was in high school, being bounced around, thinking I had no friends and like I was the last person on earth. I had a home the whole time. They just didn't know it. Man, the universe made it up to me in spades. Incredible, incredible life. Not to brag, but I'm bragging on the universe. I'm bragging on God and Holy Spirit, what they put together. Outstanding stuff, man. Just mind boggling. So, uh, that girl I told you about, you remember the one with the iguana on her shoulder and all that stuff? That's Leanne. She wrote a concert review for my hotel, one of the bands. It was Avenged Sevenfold. I happened to come across it and I saw her name. And I said, Leanne Lasky. Golly, I remember that name. Who was that? That can't be the same person. And I looked, I dug around, and it turned out there was a link that went back to her Facebook page. And I looked at her picture for the longest time, and I couldn't see her that much as an adult. I couldn't figure out, except for one thing. She had very distinctive eyes. And that the longer I looked at it, it's like, yeah, I recognize her because I had no picture of what she looked like. You know, you got to remember that when I went to high school, I had flat feet. I was always a new kid, and I was not good at sports. So the guys just didn't like me for whatever reason. That's enough reasons right there. We don't want you on our team. So my yearbook went out. I I got a lot of like really insensitive inscriptions on my 10th grade yearbook, and I took it and I just threw it in the garbage. I said, "The hell with you guys," and that's the way I was. I was very I didn't put up with it, but unfortunately for me, I also threw away my picture of her, so I forgot what she looked like, and it's just funny that she ended up in my my life. My life started to become full circle, and there was meaning in the whole thing. It wasn't just a series of random events. My aunt passed away uh, about 2 years ago, so she never really got a chance to see all this stuff happen. Now, I'm sure she would be very disapproved of it. uh, she was always like against me. For I couldn't figure out why. Instead of being happy for me that I, achieved it, and I didn't blow my brains out. I didn't jump out a window. I didn't try to kill myself. But a lot of people probably would, going through the experiences that I have, and I can laugh about it. And all I can do is just give all thanks and glory to God that He got me through it. And you know what? If I hadn't, I probably wouldn't even have exposure to the sacred and the profane in the universal order and the quantum field. All my experiences, I probably wouldn't have been paying attention to that. Who knows? I don't know what I would have done if I would have just lived like anybody else. I believe that I was led through all these experiences to achieve a very unique place in life. Out of the billions of people that leave this world, I just read this, and you heard of Burke's book about prosperity, and he talks about the people that try to do leadership, like Martin Luther King. Uh, you have, you know, who was that? Oh, there's so many people. You know, there's leaders, there's presidents, there's people that really try to strive up and do something great with themselves. And Mother Teresa of Calcutta, taking leadership and personal responsibility to look out for other people. Most people don't do that. They will just take what's handed to them and live in reactionary lives, reaction, instead of taking action. We have a chance to be the creator of our own lives while we're here on earth. We have the light to work with. Whenever you have stress and anxiety, the light wants to work with us. That's a warning sign that to let the light in. Let's park your ego aside. Remember, we said that only 10% of our brains are used to, in life. When we park our egos and allow, that's the word, the light to work with us, the 90% of the brain that we don't use becomes activated, and it starts to bring in solutions. And then there's a solution for every problem, a spiritual solution for every problem. That's where you want to live. And things start to correct themselves, right? That's why we're in this time machine. We're talking about time machine. Let me show you the actual Jewish word for time travel. This comes from the 72 names of God. There it is, right there. Wow, there goes my Kundalini again. I got a ringing on my neck. Like Spider-Man has that spider sense, like it tingles. That's the way it feels once you get your Kundalini awakened. And it comes up when I tell the truth. And I always tell the truth. But when I hit a profound moment of the truth, then it comes through me. And I know that it's real. Now, to live any other way, for me, is insane. And let me tell you what I've done. I know I went way over time. I apologize. I cut out a lot of negative frequencies. Music, believe it or not, I was a big punk rock fan, but I really kind of toned it down considerably. Considerably. Obviously, look at the way I'm dressed. But I've also turned off a lot of my news feeds that was programming. I had stuff on there because I lived in the East Coast. And I was interested in mob movies. I wanted to be like Scorsese. I love Martin Scorsese's work, and now everybody does. But back when I was in film school, no one really paid attention to him as much as they do now. So I had things on the like fan rooms for The Sopranos, The Godfather, all this stuff. And then of course, mob history and of Chicago and all this stuff. And I realized that I want to cut off every negative frequency I can. And every day it was like pruning a bonsai tree. I would clip some of the rooms. I clip some of the conversations off. I unsubscribed from certain news feeds. I was not a fan anymore of horror films or anything of the fantastic. Really tried to tone it down. And the sole purpose of trying to find out more about frequency and the light. I kind of got like obsessed with the light. I want to see what else it can do. That's amazing. Like I said, to live any other way is nuts. And that came from Goodfellas, actually, when they said that Henry Hill says, as far as being a mobster, for me to live any other way was nuts. I feel that way about the light. It's amazing. So anyway, that's my story about time travel. When you align yourself with the light, you can cut out negative frequencies, negative events, negative chapters, and that might have been unpleasant. I think that what if I did this route? What if I just blindly went along with these people that didn't like me, did whatever they wanted to do, just accepted it for what it was? I believe that I'm as worthless as they say. Family too, when they say that about me. I believe, oh, I'll never achieve anything. I'll never finish. I didn't graduate college. Okay, I'll go work in a gas station. All right. Oh, I got somebody pregnant. I got to take care of that family. I've always been a failure. I'm going to take drugs to overcome that. And I become this sloth, this guy who just doesn't care. I get arrested again, again. I lose my car. I go to jail. I'm a loser because, well, that's what they always told me my whole life. You start to like identify and make compromises with your haters, which I've never done. But I'm just saying people do that and they get stuck in life. And then now they can't time travel. They're stuck. They can't get out because they believe in what they see. They believe in that 1% of reality when everything is in motion right now. Our quantum field, our bodies, we're unstable beings. We're spiritual beings in the physical body, but we can change the trajectory of outcomes. That's the real meaning of time travel in the Kabbalah, the Kabbalistic sense. And you can say that's all bogus, that's all bullshit. And go sit in the bar with the guys that take pictures with clowns. Watch the other episode I wrote about that. That's you should see that. I did not want to do that at all. So uh only good things are going to happen to me. But I'm grateful for the bad experiences too, because I was able to see the dark side, the human side, and the light side. And I'm still here today, living proof that you can overcome all things. Okay, that's enough for the show about time travel. If you have any questions at all, I'm sure you do. You can always watch me on the Miracle Mindshift, or you can write me at tedcantu@gmail.com. And you can also find me at tedcantu.com and call me if you need to. I welcome all your questions and inquiries. It's my phone number is 248-277-6141. And I want to thank you on behalf of Doctor Who and the TARDIS, this amazing set we built just for you. And until we meet again, I got to say one last thing to you. And that is, if I can overcome my problems, you can too. This is Ted Cantu wishing you a happy Hanukkah and a happy Christmas season. And until we meet again, I'll see you online. And thanks for watching.